Yeah, before he gets here.
Hello to the people on YouTube. We're going to start in about 10-15 minutes. Bob is running a little late. Okay, thank you. Bye.
So when Mary called, I was quite surprised. But let's start out with introductions. Mark will go around the table, then around the room.
Mark Saddleberg, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, down in Cheyenne. So glad that Lyman's Department of Agriculture. Greg Smith, Wyoming Department of Environmental Quality.
Troy Bannon, Wyoming Wildlife Federation. Sherry LaGloria, Rocky Mountain Power.
John Kennedy, Wyoming Game and Fish Department.
Larry Hicks, Wyoming Senate.
Kermit Brown, Speaker of the House. Share my agreement with the Governor's Office.
Paul Ulrich, Jonah Energy.
Lyndon Bucher, American College.
John Espy, rancher.
Doug Thompson, rancher, Fremont County Commissioner.
Brian Rutledge, Audubon.
Kitty Bella Sampson.
Susan Childs, State Land Office. Mary Flanderka, Game and Fish.
Good morning, Buddy Green, BLM.
Bob Budd, Wildlife Trust Fund.
Brian Jensen, NRCS.
Dennis Jager, Forest Service.
Dave Pellett, Thunder Basin Grasslands for Ecosystem Association, the Grazing Association.
Lucas Keeling, Wyoming Oil and Gas Commission.
Doug, do you want to?
Doug Cooper, 7L Livestock Company.
Laurel Brickland, Peabody Energy.
Laura Blake, Thunder Basin Coal. Holly Copeland, Nature Conservancy.
Dan Wyland, Wyoming Outdoor Council.
Tom Ackler, Northeast Local Work Group. Martin Lakeston, Marathon Oil.
Eric Mulbar, Wildlife Guardians.
Nicholas Graff, Budget.
Lindy Cope, Wyoming Game and Fish.
Justin Weisenfer, Wildlife.
Amanda Ricardo, Game and Fish.
Joe Lucas, Journalist.
Julie Watts, Southwest Local Working Group.
Renee Taylor, Taylor Environmental.
Richard Zander, Schneider Farm Services. Eric Feldbeck, Western Range and Water.
Asian Agriculture, Devon Energy. Evie Schroeder, Marathon Road, on behalf of Devon Energy. And Kevin Kimmer with Food Research.
Matt Call, Wild End.
Rich Atkinson, Cedar Valley, and Cape Town.
Tim Barler, Yates Petroleum.
Dave Wojcik with SWCA Environmental Consultant.
Christy Haswell, SWCA Environmental Consultants.
Brian Heath for West.
Marty with Chesapeake Energy. Clarice Ashford, Chesapeake Energy.
Nick Owens, Anadarko Petroleum.
Esther Wagner, Petroleum Association of Wyoming.
Tom Preston, Sampson Resources and Petroleum Association.
Tim Meyer, Forest Service here in Douglas, and also part of the Northeast Wyoming Working Group.
Rachel McGee, Forest Service.
Shane Walker, Northeast Forest Service.
2K, let's just speak energy.
Bill Butter, ICL. Tom Brokack, Oil and Gas Commission. Adam Stevens, Devon Energy. Albert Summers, House District Number 26.
Sarah Rodnick, Sierra Central. Wendy Dwyer, Forest Service, Wyoming. Shannon Anderson, Powder River Basin Areas Council. Yes.
Good morning, welcome. Jack Davis, Powder River Energy Corporation.
Gary Miller, the Answers Corporation.
Rod Fisher, Rocky Mountain Power. Wayne Kemp, Independent. Peter Nicolason.
John Jack.
Tony Vaughn, and Iron Game and Fish.
Just so we're
Eric Barlow, Rancho County, House District 3, House of Representatives.
Travis Detail, Wyoming Mining Association.
Okay, thank you all. Couple things, just housekeeping. The first, the final meeting of this group will be the 7th. That will be in Cheyenne. The reason for that date is the Secretary of Interior will be here, and there will be a reception on the 28th to which you will all be invited. It'll be a press availability and an opportunity for the Secretary to, as far as where things are going. That will coincide with the release of the RMPs and the plan amendments from the BLM and Forest Service. But that date, I thought, worked out well. And for people who are traveling, they can come in, spend the night, and then be out. We should be done on the 28th about noon. The length of that meeting and the content of that meeting will depend a great deal on what we end up with today, but it will be the final wrap up. My intent is that as through today, We'll have the EO in a condition basically which it's a final draft. That'll be posted probably tomorrow, Mary, so people can take a look at the final draft. And then we go through any comments. We'll probably have a fairly lengthy comment period at the 27th to allow people to make suggestions. And then the mapping part, we'll probably spend some time there, again, depending on how far we get through that today. Jeremiah, do you want to talk a little bit about the process after it's delivered? Again, I'd like to do that on the 27th. The governor has it on his schedule to attend the meeting in the afternoon and have you as a group deliver your final product and recommendations to him. But I know the schedule from there on is already laid out. Do you want to go over that so people know how that process will work?
Yeah, so immediately starting after we receive the recommendations, we will meet weekly with our internal staff, which includes the chief of staff, chief counsel, the attorney general's office, Bob and I, to go through all those recommendations and start making decisions relative to them. It's our goal to have the final recommendation to the governor with a month to spare before August 18th. The team could consider that. I can't tell you today whether the governor would sign it immediately. Hopeful that the 6-week process that we've got laid out will allow us to final pump and perhaps have it very quickly. But he could conceivably take that period of time for making his final decision. We will have in there we have the letters that we've received previously providing for endorsement of the strategy. Again, we have applied across landscapes, and we want to keep that endorsement in place, and so we'll continue to work with the Fish and Wildlife Service to make sure that happens.
Yeah, I think that covers it. The structure of that process, and I think Jeremiah went over this in Lander, so people, just as a reminder, you'll remember Jeremiah's been very, very neutral throughout this process, other than things that might be direct fatal flaws as regards governor's policies, that sort of thing. Somewhat less. The way the process works is I ultimately will be the advocate for the team to say, this is why you did what you did. This is why they felt the way that you have. And through that process, the staff, the attorney general, the legal counsel, and those will do a very exhaustive look at it. Our past experience with this and other matters, we will argue word at some times, and at other times we won't. But that's a very healthy process. That's what led us to the order that we have today. So any questions on that, anything? And I apologize on the inflexibility of the date, but that date is the date. So with apologies, that's the day. Questions, thoughts?
So just to be clear.
Yeah.
They have the 27th.
We won't actually meet the 28th. That will be the secretary's event, and you'll be invited to participate in that. So it's optional, but it isn't every day that the secretary comes to Wyoming, and I thought it was very appropriate that you be there as the state that's been the leader in this regard for the past 8 years. So
Reception's on the 27th,
28th. Now there may be more, just, who knows? If not, we'll have our own reception on the 27th somewhere, probably in your office, John. Okay, with that, before we get started, I want to share something. I was on the phone yesterday. I got a call from a reporter in Washington, D.C. And in the discussion that ensued, one of the comments that the reporter made was, well, you guys have been at this for a while, actually, haven't you? And it really struck me. In fact, I spent the rest of the day just kind of thinking about, God, what a stupid ass question. And then I got to thinking about it, and I thought I'd share this with you and I won't get everything, but about half of this team remains from the original group. Since we started, the year we started, my oldest son was a senior in high school. All three of my kids have now. Ryan Lance and Jeremiah Riemann and Joy and others have had children in their families. Penny, Lynn Boomgarden have added grandchildren. About a third of us have moved or bought a new house in that time. Penny's broken most of the bones in one leg and one arm. There is a huge and conservation in general. And until he said that, it never really struck me that we've done this now consistently for that period. Fast forward to the last meeting of yesterday and a comment that Brian Rutledge made, that we keep talking about what the plan is and we keep forgetting what we've done. And we keep forgetting what the strategy has done. And I think that as we go through today, let's bear that in mind. It isn't about what we're going to do. It's about what the bar that's been set. And that's difficult at times. And Jeremiah can certainly share this with you, as can Kermit or Larry, to be in that position, because there are other people who actually get to where they go, we don't want to hear from you. You know, we haven't done anything, but we don't want to hear any more from you. And that's a difficult position to be in at times. But bear that in mind throughout the day. You've done an incredible thing here, and you're continuing to do it. And those who have come on since we started stepped right in. We didn't have to take any steps backward. And hats off to all of you who've done that. The other one, Kermit, just for kind of fun, I think when we started this, 1/5 of the current members of the House were in the House. And that's it. And so we've evolved through that and added members from the legislature. It's quite a story. So if you get a chance sometime driving home or whatever, reflect on that a little bit. It's pretty amazing. With that, Mary, do you want to go through the EO?
Sure. So
before she does, let me one more thing. My expectation as far as what we do today, the EO had a handful of items that you kind of kicked back to that group and said, not ready yet. We're going to work on those. We can always, if there are others that you had second thoughts about, I'm happy to entertain that as well. But for the most part, you did a really heavy scrub on this up in Lander. The areas that we kicked back are the ones I'd like to spend time on and probably get into some detail on today. I expect that will take us probably a couple hours, and then we'll take a break, take public comment on the O portion, and then we'll move into the mapping. And the mapping, Tom, we've got the 3 that we didn't get to last time, and then we can start back through with a more in-depth discussion of recommendations. The only one that I absolutely want to get done today because of other people's schedules is the South Wyoming Working Group. There's a proposal there that I think this group needs to be aware of. So as we work, South Central, yep. So as we work through, we'll need to make sure we leave room for that to be done. So that's the expectation on the day. Mary, go ahead.
sure. And by the EO, you mean the EO and the attachments, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Because they are all one, you know.
They are all one. All right, so the first colored or highlighted area is number 4, whereas despite population declines, the state of Wyoming greater sage-grouse across the range. And that's our final answer right there. Everyone felt, yeah, there was consensus on that. There was
Okay.
a concern originally, and despite population declines.
Correct.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I'm still not thrilled with, despite population declines, that we couldn't find an alternative to address the issue. I just think it
Doesn't want this despite population decline.
Okay.
Larry?
On behalf of the speaker, because he's bashful, he would just suggested that we strike the word enjoys.
I think that's probably one we ought to listen to. There are so many ways that could be taken, and I think we don't want to go to any of them.
Sword.
Has.
Okay, we're gonna move on to number 41 on page 8. Yeah, there's not much. Okay. This is a new language. We were asked to insert something about winter concentration areas in our intent. This is under the now therefore.
Thoughts? Well, I'll share mine. I don't think it's enough. I think it needs to say we will protect winter concentration areas. And you can add in based upon emerging science or based upon science as it becomes available. But I don't think you can say we will develop. I think we have to say we're going to protect. As you are all aware, this is now the hot button issue. This is the one that we're getting pushed back on. I think it's frankly a bit out there to do it because nothing's going to happen. We know where they are. I think that we can identify that and do a better job than this. So there's my reaction. Thoughts?
What if we said we'll develop and implement? Is that where we're going?
Well, I'm putting it up front. I'm saying we'll protect as they're based and use science-based recommendations.
Yeah, Bob, I agree. The city will protect winter concentration areas based upon developed science-based recommendations.
What I do like about it is it's not just outside core, and I think that's one of the things that some people are starting to say is have you identified in core, but they're protected, but there may be a different set of steps that we'd use. Larry, go ahead.
Yeah, if we could get a little bit of discussion on it. Here's the issue is we delineated the winter concentration areas. We've got the telemetry data. My question is so how do we get to the winter concentration areas and get these migration patterns and these migration routes? So is that encompassed in the winter concentration areas? Or is that a separate discussion?
The migration stuff?
Yeah, well, if the lunar from the Lex and the Nest area, 1 miles away, just because we protected this, we don't to summer. So we identified winter concentration areas. Was there any discussion as to that migration corridors or whatever mechanism to get from that point?
I think
I know because I wasn't done that work.
no, and I think the answer is no, but in part because really there are 2 winter concentration areas that are not in core that we know of. Correct, Tom?
What's the second?
Well, there's 2 in the Pinedale area. They're not connected. If you look at the mapping, one's up to the north. You can call it 1 or 2, but on a map, it's 2 polygons. If you want to call it, the birds come in. So it's not like there is a migration corridor. Those birds come from multiple leks, from multiple core. Oh, I don't know that ever was addressed. Thoughts on that, Tom or Paul, or those of you who have dealt with this the most?
Likely flying close. And there are 4 areas fairly close.
Right.
Yeah, those birds are good.
Okay. Discussion on it, guys. I mean, this is one we've got to try and have in a condition that we can get to the governor. And Kermit, go ahead.
Bob, help me again. What was your recommendation for this one?
It's in there now. I said that and it shouldn't be the SGIT, it should be the state of Wyoming will
That was gonna
protect,
be my next comment.
will protect winter concentration areas as they are identified. Be a more affirmative statement that not that we don't know or that we might do something as it sounded before. I think Infinity somewhat speculative now as far as what disturbances are a problem with Tom and others, and everybody's kind of, but not totally sure that that's it. So is it surface disturbance that's the issue? It would apply in winter concentration. And I don't know that we are completely there yet.
Well, it occurs to me that the difference in the language is tantamount to what we ran into in the last Wolf decision we got in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Where the courts of a pledge to do something wasn't good enough. It didn't amount to a commitment. And I think that's where that case got in trouble. And that's virtually the only part of the Wolf thing that the court had any problem with, and sent it back for a more definitive commitment on the part of the state of Wyoming. In there. Exactly what
Instead, just
but this term
we would
the difference.
I think we should say, hey, what we're going to do will protect them. I mean, what does that mean? Say be nice in there. I think you got to say what it is that you think could be the vector or problem. Is that fair?
Yeah, without question. You know, and I don't mind us listing that. Human activity. And I'd be supportive that this group or means, you know, with Tom and your team and whoever else, and provides those recommendations, the better off we're all going to be.
More articles on this very forward to capture the essence of those
For the
findings.
most part, Holly also sent out a summary of other papers